It's Thursday, the 23rd of November, and welcome to this month's Water Action Platform. This broadcast is focused on the mechanisms that are enabling technology adoption in a tough-to-navigate water sector. What are the key business, regulatory, and partnership mechanisms that have worked, and who is innovating in this space? Before we go into our guest discussion, I want to start out by expressing a huge thank you to our Water Action Platform and Trial Reservoir sponsors and partners who continue to support the work that we do. We are also going to be running a poll in the chat function on innovation adoption enablers, and we'll publish the results on LinkedIn after the broadcast. Now, looking at the amazing technologies developed and being supported through utility and industry partnerships, it is still hard to believe that we continue to be plagued by climate change impacts, service delivery, operational, and cost inefficiencies in the water sector. So we decided to delve into what it takes to get us over the mark to see real impact where it counts. This brings me to my first guest speaker, Moletsane Mophethe, an innovator who is not new to the ISLE network and the water sector. Moletsane's journey has included developing the Floc-Opex Recovery solution and working within water and sustainability markets. We gave him a call. Now that the technology works, what has been keeping him up at night? We wanted to know about the lessons he has learned in de-risking and building his business. Moletsane, welcome back to the Water Action Platform. You were with us previously and you shared quite a bit on your technology development journey. And why don't you now just remind us of who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, Chantal. Thanks for having me. So as you've mentioned, I'm Moletsane. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Mop Tech Industries, and we focus on sustainable solutions within the water, wastewater, and environmental sectors. So we've developed a technology called the Floc-Opex Recovery Process, or FOR, and it's essentially a resource recovery process that is aimed at the potable water treatment industry. There we're looking to recover and recycle metal-based coagulants from water treatment residuals in order to lower the operational costs of these utilities, reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emissions, and more importantly, reduce the large volumes of sludge that would otherwise report to landfill sites and water bodies. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell in terms of the technology we've been developing.
Yeah, and you've been really busy since we spoke to you last. I mean, you've been part of the ISLE's Water Innovation Living Labs. So tell us about your journey since then. What have you been up to, and who have you been networking with?
Okay, no, happy to. Yeah, Will was fantastic. It was actually the first accelerator program that we've been involved in. So there we got a lot of groundwork and tools in terms of pitching, in terms of understanding business development, teams, and a lot of marketing. Since then, we've had a bit of, I suppose, luck, because we've had some interest from industries that we wouldn't have otherwise thought would be interested in our technology. So our sort of focus was really water utilities as well as mines. But more recently, we've had some inroads in Italy with an oil and gas company, and there it's been quite fascinating. Their interest has been around their water treatment operations from their drilling, and they're looking to recover and recycle some of the chemicals they use for their water treatment there. We've also had a bit of traction in the UK with some of the water utilities there, so we're looking to explore further synergies. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe just to touch on your point in terms of Will and what we've been doing, part of that has also been joining other accelerator programs, two specifically that we've been involved in this year. And there really we've been focusing at doing three things. One is really building our networks and our support system. The second is access to strategic clients as well as strategic investors, but also hopefully looking for a pot of money at the end in order to help us further develop our technology.
Yes, as every entrepreneur does, yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
So now I've spent a lot of time working with entrepreneurs and tech developers, and often I've asked them the question, what is the hardest part of the journey? And they say, the technology development is actually easier because, we're the experts. But when we get into market, that is the most challenging part of it. So tell us a bit about this journey of yours, but also, what have been some of the market adoption barriers that you have had to deal with thus far?
Yeah, no, I think that's quite true. And perhaps to touch on and latch onto that technology part, a big lesson that I've sort of consistently started learning is understanding the difference between technology development and business development. As entrepreneurs who are quite technical in our innovation, whether you're a scientist or engineer, really our focus is on our product. And there we're looking at, building, measuring, learning, iterating until we have this perfect solution and we can finally take it to market. But I've also realized that there's another side of, of the pie or the puzzle, and that's really building your business. And building that business speaks a lot to one of the challenges which we have in the industry as young innovators. And that's really de-risking your technology and de-risking your business. And I've heard that word over and over and over and over again, de-risking. And yeah, so there are two types. You de-risk your technology by, taking it up the technology readiness level, lab scale, piloting, and finally commercializing. And that's really to help clients as well as investors have more faith in that the technology can work. But on the other side is the business. You can have a technology that works, but now the questions are, do you have the competency to be able to, roll out this at commercialization? Is this sustainable? As a client, can I rely on you? Can I rely on your technology? And whether it's your operating and maintenance or your team, if I give you money, will you just be gone and disappear in the next few months? So I think the de-risking part, as well as understanding the business and the product and growing those together have been quite an eye-opener and a challenge over the past few years.
Now, would you take this journey again, knowing what you know?
Yes, I would. I suppose, hindsight.
No.
It's 2020. No. I think I would do things a bit more differently. I think I would take feedback more constructively. When you're starting off, sometimes you view feedback as criticism and you don't really interrogate some of the things that are being said. And, looking back, that sort of sets you back, whether it's a few months or a few weeks in terms of your development journey. And yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've done different or do different if I was to take this journey again.
Thank you. Now, your insights are extremely interesting, I think, especially for our other tech developers and entrepreneurs looking to move into middle-income countries, open up that market space, and really battling with that innovation adoption and tech adoption. So, Moletsane, always good to catch up with you on your progress, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Invaluable viewpoint from Moletsane, highlighting the transition to be made from innovator to entrepreneur. Next up, we spoke to Gustavo Posetti from Sanepar in Brazil. Sanepar is responsible for providing basic sanitation services to 345 cities, in addition to 297 smaller locations. Not a small task. Sanepar is a utility that is working with new laws and regulations that support innovation uptake, building and creating market pull for startups. Why is this important? Well, as our previous guest has highlighted, this is where the magic happens. Gustavo, welcome all the way from Brazil. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Water Action platform. And I believe that you are the manager of the Research and Innovation Department with Water and Parana State Sanepar since 2010. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. My pleasure to stay here with you, Chantel. Thank you very much for this specific invitation, and congratulations for the platform. It's a very, very interesting tool to share knowledge, to share different types of perspectives. And of course, I'm here to contribute with you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, of course, the first question I wanted to ask you is related to the new regulation for innovation in Brazil. Can you tell me a bit about how you have gone about implementing it and what it has meant for innovation in Brazil, for utilities such as yourself?
Okay, Chantel, thank you very much for the question. Specifically about the innovation, we have a new law in Brazil in order to organize the ecosystem and in order to introduce the startups. But the most important in this process, it's not only the new regulation associated with innovation, but the new regulation, the new law associated with water and sanitation in general in Brazil. We have different types of perspectives associated with this new Brazilian law. According to this Brazilian law, we need provide water and sanitation for anyone until 2033, specifically for urban areas. And we have in this specific regulation some goals associated with efficiency, associated with water loss, associated with different types of aspects that an utility need observe associated with the sustainability in general. Mm-hmm. So today, according to this law, the competitivity is mandatory. So when we observe the sustainability, the new goals, and the competitivity, we need the innovation to promote this type of things.
Absolutely.
And the open innovation can contribute a lot with that. Yes. That's why we can connect with the other law in Brazilian context, the new law associated with the startups. According to this law, a public company, for example, can contract a startup directly if we establish specific procedures. For example, we need open a call. In this call, we can offer the challenge. Mm-hmm. After that, the companies, the startups can observe the challenge and offer some proposals. A team can evaluate these specific solutions and select the most appropriate solution for the context. We are discussing with the regulators, we are discussing with other utilities about this specific approach because it sounds good, because we can offer as a utility the challenge, and the startups using the open innovation can submit some proposal, test, and scale up in a short time.
So there's a very clear integration between policy and implementation, which is wonderful. Now,
yeah, of course. We have other different aspects associated with universities, research that can participate of this process. Mm-hmm. But the startups today can contribute directly with the high TRL. That's the point. We can generate impact in a short time. And we have good results here, specifically at Sanepar. Sanepar is a big company in Brazil. We can support, for example, drinking water for around 11 million people. And we elaborate a specific call for startups. In a short time, you receive a very, very interesting proposal. And we put a lot of effort in order to develop, to test, and today we are discussing the possibilities to scale up the solutions. So sounds good, this approach. We believe a lot in these specific aspects.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, and I don't think you've been asked this question before. If you had to have dinner with one person, who would that be and why?
Okay, Chantal, okay. Some days ago, I discussed here some possibilities with a startup. And according to this startup, the aim is promote the life in Mars. So, of course, it's a very disruptive perspective, and these specific startups work with nanobubbles. And the idea is the life is connected with the water. So today, when we think in this solution, of course, we can solve the problems associated with life in other planets. Mars is one planet. And this is a species of inspiration for the next generations. Because we need to solve the problems in Earth too.
Yes.
But who is the person?
Who's the person?
Of course. Do you know something about Elon Musk?
Absolutely.
What do you think a dinner with the Elon Musk in order to discuss the procedure to generate value in other planets using the different types of technology for that purpose? I recommend a good dinner with this guy in order to discuss the possibilities. And of course, if you need other inspiration, what do you think a good dinner with Bill Gates to discuss the experience during the last 10 years about sanitation, about the different types of technology to promote the life for the people. So I think we have good names here to discuss this type of things. And one day, if possible, I'm here to organize this specific dinner. Please help me with that, Chantal.
We would be very happy to. Gustavo, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate your thoughts and your inputs, and we hope to see you soon.
Okay, Chantal, thank you very much for your invitation. It was a pleasure to be with you. Believe innovation for sustainability. The innovability is the key to cooperate, to generate value for the society, specifically in environmental sanitation area. Go ahead, and if you need something from Brazil, we are here to contribute.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Keep in touch.
Thank you. A great case on integrating policy with implementation. Sanipar is one of the utilities looking to lead in this regard, and we will be watching this space. Gustavo may have also provided us with another Water Action Platform theme, looking beyond Earth. What is Elon Musk doing for water on Mars? Now, before we get carried away with Mars, let us come back down to Earth and chat to Johan Libbe from the Development Bank of Southern Africa. Johan has recently been appointed as the head of the Water Partnerships Office, taking on a mammoth task of creating bankable water and sanitation projects. We wanted to hear from Johan on what makes the WPO financing and contracting model unique.
Yeah, Chantal, I think if one looks at the water services and the water sector side, it's one of the more difficult sectors to finance. And if we look at the public sector, firstly, I think the responsibility for the provision of water services lies with government, lies with municipalities. So the need is there. On the other hand, the private sector is there, and we've got investors, we've got funding, we've got skills and expertise in the private sector. But we don't have a mechanism to match these two. And that's been our key challenge. We don't have bankable projects. We don't know how to structure, how to prepare these projects so that it can attract the private sector participation. So what we looked at is we tried to look at the REAP program, the Renewable Energy Program in South Africa, which has been very successful. And we said, how can we replicate some of those successes into the water sector? We know, yes, energy and water is very different, but there were a couple of key elements from that energy program that we said, let's create this in the water sector and see if we can solution for the challenges that we are facing. So one of the elements that came through was looking at things more from a programmatic perspective. So getting programs in place. The REAP program was obviously that. There was also in the energy side, we had the IPP office that was established, and that was what the Water Partnerships Office is now created in the water sector to play that role of being a center of excellence, housing certain expertise, and then being a space and a platform to facilitate partnerships with the private sector. We know government cannot do this alone. We have to look at the private sector and create opportunities for the private sector. And that's really what the Water Partnerships Office and the National Water Partnerships Program as an umbrella program is set out to do, so that we can assist government and create opportunities for the private sector to participate.
This could have value for other countries, trying to bridge the gap between technology development and application. We also wanted to know how the WPO was prioritizing the needs of the country, in addition to scaling the water reuse program. As one of the first programs to get liftoff under the WPO, what are the other priorities?
Yeah, so we've got a non-revenue water program. So that's to try and assist municipalities with reducing their non-revenue water, the losses. We've got a wastewater treatment program. So the cases where there aren't a reuse opportunity, we still need to treat the effluent. Yeah. Many of our plants are failing, so that program will support and focus on upgrading, rehabilitating, refurbishing our wastewater treatment facilities. We've got a seawater desalination program, which will aim to procure desalinated water from the private sector. There's a non-sewage sanitation program, which is focusing on bringing in the new toilet technologies that uses less or no water, and apply that and really provide a platform to start scaling that. And the last program is not a direct investment program, but more focused on assisting municipalities to get their water business back up and running. So that's a management contract program where we'll bring the private sector in to come in and support municipalities with their water business.
Johan has highlighted the role of financing, contracting, and strengthening the business of water utilities as critical to innovation adoption. This is key to transforming the water sector, where public and private entities need to work hand in hand. Solving for the now is a serious business. Dealing with this, we asked Johan, what gets him out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, Chantal, I mean, there's so much opportunities. I always say to people, this is very ambitious, but we don't have a choice. We have to do this. We have to try and see, otherwise we're going to be in a severe challenge. So it's just that I think the excitement and the opportunity that this creates, and trying to make a difference and see how we can solve for some of the challenges in the water sector.
Our guests today have indicated that supporting the adoption of technology takes more than we thought. We require a mix of technical expertise, policy integration, and much, much more. With that, we come to the end of this month's broadcast. I once again thank all our contributors and sponsors. Next month's Water Action Platform will be on Monday, the 11th of December, not our usual fourth Thursday of the month. The change in date is due to the December broadcast directly from COP28. We will hear firsthand from people actually at the summit. We hope you can join us. Until then, keep asking questions, keep sharing, and keep safe.